Myers report highlighted one particular project that made Congress look bad and Obama look good the very same day he proposed massive spending increases. The C-17 cargo plane is the workhorse of the military. It carries troops and equipment to everywhere, every war zone, helps in any kind of crisis like in Haiti. Just about everyone agrees that the C-17 has been around and has been one of the most terrific planes in the military. But the Pentagon has said it's had enough and it wants to stop buying them. Still, our liberal Congress voted to build 10 more planes. Cost $2.5 billion. Today the president said this makes no sense. Myers said before cutting to video of Obama calling the project waste, pure and simple. I don't understand. I don't understand. He does not want us to be safe. But this myth that he is a fiscal conservative and that he cuts spending, wasteful spending, and curbs deficits, that's just absolutely the biggest myth in the world. Number 4, a lack of press freedom in the Gulf doesn't point to Obama. Wow. The media myth is that BP must be controlling the Coast Guard, the FAA, and others to block access to the oil spill. I read this and I saw this, and this had to make me laugh more than anything in the world. If you were able to read Governor Bobby Jindal's book, you're going to find out that this president was so disinterested in this whole thing. And when after an inordinate amount of time he decided to go down there, Bobby Jindal had sent information and requests and pleadings to this arrogant Obama. And when he got down there, the first thing Obama did was pull Jindal off to the side and start raising hell with him, not because the man was trying to do the right thing, but because he was making the president look bad. Oh, give me a break. Folks, this guy's arrogant. BP had their problems, but for gosh sakes, this guy, his ego was doing everything except taking care of the BP oil. But he has to have somebody to blame it on. It took more than 40 days for most people to see the disturbing images of wildlife coated in oil after that spill. But the press blamed BP for their lack of access. But when you get to the bottom story, it was the federal authorities enforcing a blockade. Now, if you don't listen to some kind of conservative news that tells the truth, you're not going to know this at all. CBS, Associated Press, said the Times-Picayune all complained about local and federal authorities and British petroleum contractors inhibiting their reporting. Wait a minute. They put in BP, but did you catch local and federal authorities? While many in the news media were blaming BP, the real culprit was probably the Obama administration. When you start looking at, and here again, we're talking about the 10 economic myths. When you start talking about this guy didn't have a hand in the destruction of the Gulf, he wanted to lay everything on somebody else, but it was him and his little bunch of inexperienced people in the White House who called the shots. They called the shots. And because they were calling the shots, we didn't get oil skimmers in here. We didn't get help from countries who knew what they were doing. Woo! We didn't get anything. Not a thing in the world. But yet, spin. This is Barack, I got a spin for you, Obama. Was not his fault. It was BP's fault. And then he's so good, and he's such a fiscal conservative. Ha! Oh my God. And all of a sudden he says, this is bad. And we're going to have to shut all the drilling down. I've got friends that live on the coast. He has destroyed jobs because of the shutdown of the oil drilling in the Gulf. And what was the reason for that? Because deep water drilling at that depth was dangerous. It had not been proven. Oh, he had a whole list of things, and he wasn't going to let that environment be torn all to pieces. Like he gives a damn about the environment. The only one he gives a damn about is Barack Obama. But if you don't know this, there is a petroleum company in Brazil that at the time, I don't know if he still does because I didn't realize I talked about say anything about this, had a big chunk of ownership by our old buddy George Soros. And at the same time that Obama was shutting down the drilling in the Gulf, God, isn't this guy great? And being such an advocate of the environment, he was using his executive power to appropriate $2.1 or $2.2 billion to the Brazilian oil company to do guess what? You're right. Somebody gets a lollipop. Wait a minute, I got a lollipop around here somewhere. Where's the lollipop? Give us your address. I'm going to send you a lollipop if you got this right. No, not going to do that. Yeah. The $2.2 billion was for the exploration of oil in the ocean over 2 miles deep. 3 or 4 times deeper than the exploration in the Gulf. So, let's go back and talk about the spin. Did you hear anything about this deal in the liberal media? No. So what happens? He's taken to court. He gets his hand slapped. Said you can't do that. Didn't shut it down. Goes, he tries to shut it down again. He gets his hand slapped. And then he just does an executive order. Listen, this guy knows how to do executive orders now. And if we've got to get righteous about anything in the 2012 election, it's got to be that we can't allow these people to do these kind of deals, executive orders that are contrary to the good of the United States people. And that's the truth. So we had a real problem, but when you look at it, he went end round, and then he had the chance to open them back up recently, and he has edicted that they're going to stay down. Now, I live in Louisville, Kentucky, and I hope there's a lot more Louisville, Kentucky people listening to the show. But I'm going to tell you something. I feel their pain because I know people on the coast, and if you don't live on the coast or know anybody that lives in the Gulf, then it's not time for you to go, well, that's not really my problem. It really is your problem. But we have this big myth, and